Okay, so I just got a package from Thrift Books. This video is not sponsored, but I absolutely adore Thrift Books. Oh my lord, I purchase like everything from there. I kind of am like the top tier member of Thrift Books at this point. But I wanted to talk about what I'm currently reading first before we get into that package. Also, this is totally unscripted, not me reading from a book. So if you enjoy this type of deal, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll do a what I'm reading next, my favorite reads, like every once in a while, give you an extra video of me if you're interested. But no, I've been recently reading Queen of Shadows, which is the fourth book in the Throne of Glass series. I love these books so much. I don't want to spoil this one too much because I do really enjoy the series and I do recommend reading it. But yeah, it's just, if you don't know anything about Throne of Glass or the entire series or anything, it's basically built around an assassin and she gets a bunch of friends. Throughout her journeys, obviously since this is the fourth book, I have been reading them for a while and loving them. But yeah, if you're interested in a more, it's still dark in some aspects. It's definitely not a kid's book. But it's less mystery and more like fantasy, but it's not like a Harry Potter fantasy. Because it's still like got all the gore and mayhem, but it's more like the fantasy plot where it's these are your characters and they have this goal at the end and they're gonna accomplish the goal at the end, but like there's dips and dives of like, will they do it, will they not? This is the first fantasy book that I've read in a long time where I feel like the characters could actually die at the end. Like a lot of people have died throughout the series. I'm not going to give away who because I would be spoiling the book, but Sarah J. Maas, which writes a Court of Thorns and Roses, and she has one other series that I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but yeah, if you read A Court of Thorns and Roses, this is also by her. She just writes really good things, and I love this book so much. But without further ado, I wanted to also do a little Christmas haul. I know, I keep teasing you with my new package. I can't wait to open it either. But that will have to wait because I want to do an late unboxing because I already unboxed it on Christmas with my family, back home. But I wanted to recap all the good things I got because I love them so much. My grandmother bought me these. Sorry, Grandma, if you're watching this. I know that I kind of freaked you out a little bit with what you were getting me for Christmas this year because these are all true crime books. But yeah, I think the point of that was, I think all of these that she got for the most part were on Thrift Books, so it was like $30, $40, $50 for all of them. There's 10 books here, so it's like really good prices for books, but I don't know exactly where she got them all. So around 30, 40, 50. I know that's a wide range, especially for a broke college student. But that's why you outsource your books. That's why you get people to help you get them, you know? But the first book I wanted to share, which my mother so kindly informed me, is like one of the first books written of the nature, which is In Cold Blood, which I'm sure some of you guys have had to read this in school. I have a friend on campus who had to read this book for her class. So I'll just read the back of the book of all of these and it'll give you a little bit of the background. Obviously some of these are going to be a lot more obvious than others as to why I picked them. But here we go. In Cold Blood is about, on November 15th, 1959, in the small town of Holcomb, Kansas, 4 members of the Clutter family were savagely murdered by blasts from a shotgun held a few inches from their faces. There was no apparent motive for the crime, and there was almost no clues. as Truman Capote reconstructs the murder and the investigation that led to the capture, trial, and execution of the killers. He generates both mesmerizing suspense and astonishing empathy. In Cold Blood is a work that transcends its moment, yielding poignant insights into the nature of American violence. I looked up the Clutter family. Clutter, if you want to look it up. I think it's Clutter family, but I could be entirely wrong. I apologize if I am wrong. But I cannot for the life of me remember what this case is about. I listen to a lot of true crime and read a lot of true crime, so I cannot remember off the top of my head right now what this case is entirely about. Obviously, I just read you a little bit, but I can't tell you like the killers or anything right now. Not like some of the other books that I have, but that's the first one. Then I have The Stranger Beside Me, which is written by somebody who used to work with Ted Bundy. Obviously, I can tell you pretty much everything about the Bundy case, but like this book I am so excited for because it's by somebody who knew him personally and was fooled the entire time and did not know that he was a killer or anything. So let's read the back of the book. Utterly unique in its astonishing intimacy, as jarringly frightening as when it first appeared, Anne Rule's The Stranger Beside Me defies our expectations that we would surely know if monster lived among us, worked alongside of us, appeared as one of us. With a slow chill that intensifies with each heart-pounding page, Rule describes her dawning awareness that Ted Bundy, her sensitive co-worker on a crisis hotline, was one of the most prolific serial killers in America. He would confess to killing at least 36 young women from coast to coast and was eventually executed for 3 of those cases. Drawing from their correspondence that endured until shortly before Bundy's death, and striking a seamless balance between her deeply personal perspective and her role as a crime reporter on the hunt for a savage serial killer, the brilliant and charismatic Bundy, the man she thought she knew, Rule changed the course of true crime literature with this unforgettable chronicle. And I am so excited to get to read it because it's by somebody who knew him, and I love that true crime books are so great at this. They're really great at incorporating pictures in their books. Oh, just so excited to read it. And then we have Zodiac, which also so excited to read this. I'm pretty sure that this case is still a cold case. And nobody's been able to catch him. But here we go, the back of the book. A sexual sadist, he took pleasure in torture and murder. His first victims were a teenage couple stalked and shot dead in a lover's lane. After another slaying, he sent his first mocking note to authorities, promising he would kill more. The official tally of his victims was 6. He claimed 37 dead. The real toll may have reached 50. Robert Graysmith was on staff at the San Francisco Chronicle in 1968 when Zodiac first struck, triggering in the resolute reporter an unrelenting obsession with seeing the hooded killer brought to justice. In the scraping account of Zodiac's 11-month reign of terror, Graysmith revealed hundreds of facts previously unreleased, including the complete text of the killer's letters. Ooh, I did not... Okay. I'm gonna be entirely honest. I know that I probably heard them because this book was written a while ago, but I did not know that this was where he first released all of the Zodiac's letters to the public, which is really, this is like the best way to do it because then people will buy your book. It's plain and simple. Best way to make people buy your book is to release the letters of a giant serial killer. Then we have The Search for the Green River Killer, another one that I don't know super well. I know that I probably already know the case because, as I said, I listen to a significant amount of true crime. There's a lot of walking when you get to a college campus, and sometimes true crime is the only thing that can get you through those long walks. But I probably already know this case. I just can't remember a lot of the details. Again, I read a lot and I listen to a lot of true crime. This is like my obsession. This is why I have this cup, just here to establish my alibi, because like, okay, real talk. Murder is not something to take lightly. I am not condoning murder. I am not, like, if you kill somebody and then you're like, oh my god, Caitlin's Book Nook told me, here's the video that inspired me to kill. I'm not taking responsibility, because right now, right here, I'm telling you, do not kill anybody, ever. It's a terrible idea. You will only go to jail and hurt that other person. There is no good point in murder. That being said, I do read a lot and learn a lot about murder, because when I'm taking walks outside by myself, which I often do, I best know how to get away if something bad ever happens to me. You know, like, this is the kind of level that we're on, and I hope that we can understand each other, you know? Because I'm not trying to get murdered, so I might as well, something good. Teaching other people how to not get murdered is, I feel like, a big point of it. And I also listen to a lot of comedy podcasts about murder where they make fun of the victim only. Or not the victim. Oh my Jesus. They do not make fun of the victim. They do not make fun of the victim. They make fun of the killer. And sometimes in life you can either laugh or you can cry. And I'm definitely a laugher. I love to laugh my way through life. Do not murder people is the saying that I am plastering on this channel. I will read all of these books if you want me to, just don't kill anybody. That's the point. That's the point of life. Get through it without killing anybody. Okay, sorry, I needed to go on that rant so that I felt like it was gonna be okay, you know? So, the search for the Green River Killer. Let's read the back. During the 1980s, the Strip in Washington state had become an outdoor sexual supermarket, with countless young women openly offering themselves to any and all passing motorists. Then, the first female corpses was found in the Green River, and the reign of terror and maddening mystery began. This is the story of a fiendish, clever killer, and of the young women, some little more than children, who became his victims. It is a riveting account, too, of the Green River Task Force that spent $15 million on botanists, anthropologists, seers, psychologists, lasers that could lift fingerprints and computers that match a face to a sliver of jawbone, all to no avail as the death toll mounted to 49 and still counting. Superbly detailed, this is chilling, edge-of-the-seat true crime written by two prize-winning reporters. Open-eyed and eye-opening, it is a journey into the horrifying heart of American sex and violence. Which is very exciting to me. I'm very excited to read. Then, oh my god, so I have a story after this, but Jeffrey Dahmer in American Nightmare is this book. I had a professor who lived in Milwaukee during the time that Jeffrey Dahmer was doing all of his murders on young boys, which was probably not a great thing for this professor. But he assumed that because he was not gay, he was not going to get killed. Anyway, that's not the point of this. The point is he took a piece of rubble. No, he did not take a piece of rubble. Other people took pieces of rubble. This is a pair of scissors, by the way. Other people took pieces of rubble. He took, like, a picture with his buddies in front of the apartment building before they blew it down. No, I think they did it. Did they explode it? They might have, they demolished the building. The building that he lived in is no longer there. They might have replaced the building. I'm not quite sure. But he took a picture in front of it before it was destroyed. Anyway, tenants of the Oxford Apartments in Milwaukee would never forget the hot, sultry night of July 22nd, 1991. A panic-stricken young man, a pair of handcuffs dangling from his wrist, ran out of apartment 213 and told police an incredible tale of terror. Shaking with fear, he led officers back to his captor's lair, where they made a gruesome discovery. Inside were the body parts of at least 15 men, including torsos stuffed in a barrel, severed heads in a refrigerator, and skulls boiled clean and stashed in a filing cabinet. Tacked to the freezer were Polaroid photographs of mutilated corpses. When investigators arrested 31-year-old Jeffrey Dahmer, they realized they had stumbled onto a real-life Hannibal Lecter, a sadistic murderer who told them he had saved a human heart to eat later, what could turn a handsome former tennis player, the son of middle-class parents, into a perverse serial killer whose unthinkable acts shocked the nation. And I'm very, very excited to read that one. I am going to have to start spending less time on all of these because I do have somewhere to be quite soon. This is another one that I am very, very, very excited for, which is I'll Be Gone in the Dark. So as I understand it, it was a stay-at-home mom who got very invested in the Golden State Killer murders. And so she started researching from like her kitchen while she was taking care of her kids. She is, she's a stay-at-home mom of a wealthy person, but I can't remember who it is. My mother would know. You know what? Maybe, yes. Okay, so it explains it on the back of the book. Sorry, I was trying to figure out if they said it. Okay. Here we go. For more than 10 years, a mysterious and violent predator committed 50 sexual assaults in Northern California before moving south, where he perpetrated 10 sadistic murders. Then he disappeared, eluding capture by multiple police forces and some of the best detectives in the area. 3 decades later, Michelle McNamara, a true crime journalist who created the popular website TrueCrimeDiary.com, was determined to find the violent psychopath she called the Golden State Killer. Michelle pored over police reports, interviewed victims, and embedded herself in the online communities that were as obsessed with the case as she was. I'll Be Gone in the Dark, the masterpiece McNamara was writing at the time of her sudden death, now updated to include a revised afterword and coverage of the Golden State Killer's arrest, so she did not figure it out, but she did help, offers an atmospheric snapshot of a moment in American history and a chilling account of a criminal mastermind and the wreckage he left behind. It is also a portrait of a woman's obsession and her unflagging pursuit of the truth. Utterly original and compelling, it has been hailed as a modern true crime classic, one that fulfilled Michelle's dream, helping unmask the Golden State Killer. So, yeah, she herself is Patton Oswalt is her husband. I found that. I should have known because it literally says on the front. But yes, very, very excited to read that one. My mother said it was wonderful. So this, oh my god, this one is a secret passion of mine because nobody really knows what happens and nobody is really gonna know because it was never confirmed. But this is the trial of Lizzie Borden because she, fun fact, got off of killing her parents and never served jail time as far as that. She might have been held in jail while awaiting trial, but she never like actually went to prison. She was just in jail. Okay, when Andrew and Abby Borden were brutally hacked to death in Fall River, Massachusetts in August of 1892, the arrest of the couple's daughter Lizzie turned the case into international news and her trial into a spectacle unparalleled in American history. The popular fascination with the Borden murders and its central enigmatic character has endured for more than 100 years, but the legend often outstrips the story. Based on transcripts of the Borden legal proceedings, contemporary newspaper articles, previously withheld lawyers' journals, unpublished local reports, and recently unearthed letters from Lizzie herself, the trial of Lizzie Borden is a definitive account of the Borden murder case and offers a window into America in the Gilded Age, showcasing its most deeply held convictions and its most troubling social anxieties. Oh my god, I love like obviously the popular, no, I don't love, I'm fascinated with the like Bundys and the Gacy's and the Manson, which we'll get into, don't worry about that. But like the ones that are just old and like nobody can know, like so easy to figure out now, but because it was in the 1800s, nobody's ever gonna know. Those are so fascinating to me because, like, if we could just give them our technology, if we could just help, you know? Ugh, I'm fascinated with a cold case. Alright, here we get into Helter Skelter, which is the story of the Manson murders. In the summer of 1969 in Los Angeles, a series of brutal, seemingly random murders captured headlines across America. A famous actress and her unborn child, an heiress to a coffee fortune, a supermarket owner, and his wife were among the 7 victims. A thin trail of circumstances eventually tied these Haight LaBianca murders to Charles Manson, a would-be pop singer of small talent living in the desert with his family of devoted young women and men. What was his hold over them, and what was the motivation behind such savagery? In the public imagination, over time, the case assumed the proportions of myth. The murders marked the end of the 60s and became an immediate symbol of the dark underside of that era. Vincent Bugliosi was the prosecuting attorney in the Manson trial, and this book is his enthralling account of how he put his case from what a defense attorney dismissed as only 2 fingerprints and Vince Bugliosi. The meticulous detective work with which the story begins, the prosecutor's view of a complex murder trial, the reconstruction of the philosophy Manson inculcated in his fervent followers, these elements make for a true crime classic. Helter Skelter is not merely a spellbinding murder case and courtroom drama, but also, in the words of the New Republic, a social document of rare importance. And I am so very interested because he is not a serial killer, but always in my mind I'm like, he killed 30 people just because what he did was so gruesome and so crazy. And then the trials with the women, oh my lord, it's a lot. If you don't know about the Charlie Manson and his family, oh my god, just look a little bit and your mind will be blown. Okay, here is one that I know I should know who this is, but I always get my Eds mixed up. This is Deviant, the shocking true story of Ed Gein, and I can't remember which Ed it is for the life of me, but here we go. The year was 1957. Photographs would show him across the country, a slight Midwestern man with a twisted little smile, a man who had lived for 10 years in his own secret world of murder and depravity. Here's the grisly true story of Ed Gein, the killers whose fiendish fantasies inspired Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, the mild-mannered farmhand bound to his domineering mother, driven into a series of gruesome and bizarre acts beyond all imagining. In chilling detail, Deviant explores the incredible career of one of the most twisted madmen in the annals of American crime, and how he turned a small Wisconsin farmhouse into his own private playground of ghoulishness and blood. And this one, I don't really know a lot about it. I'm very fascinated, and I wanted to know more. Here we go. Here's the kicker. Killer Clown. This is the John Wayne Gacy murders. Alright. In 1980, John Wayne Gacy was convicted of an Illinois court of murdering 33 young men and boys in his home in the outskirts of Chicago. News of the mass murders rocked the Midwest and raised questions throughout the nation about how the killer had managed to go undetected for so long and what had motivated him to commit his sadistic crimes. At last, the person best qualified to clarify the issues surrounding the Gacy affair is able to tell what he knows. Terry Sullivan became involved with the case in 1978 when, as an assistant state's attorney in Cook County, Illinois, he was called in to advise the police. In such capacity as legal counsel, he masterminded the investigative effort that culminated in Gacy's arrest. Later, as a state prosecutor at Gacy's trial, he helped convince the jury that Gacy, the burly contractor known for entertaining young children as a clown, was not legally insane and hence must be sentenced to death. It is Sullivan's definitive material drawn from his exclusive files that provides the framework for Killer Clown. In this fast-paced, reportage account, Sullivan leads us step by step through the police investigation as it proceeds towards its gruesome finale. A separate section details the intimate facts of Gacy's sensational trial and the participants, police victims, perpetrators, identified in an 8-page black and white photo insert. For those of us who wonder how a Gacy could come to live among us, entertain our children, consort with respectable politicians, right up to the First Lady, hear the explosive expose and the enthralling detective story of the pursuit of one twisted mind. And this book is always so interesting to me because, like, people didn't know he was a killer, but you're supposed to round off. I've obviously been listening to a bunch of podcasts, but you're supposed to round off clown makeup so it doesn't look as scary for kids, but, like, his was all sharp edges, and, like, if you look, everything ends in a point, which is why you get the, like, so familiar, clown makeup that goes up and points around the eyes, because that was Gacy. That's what Gacy looked like. He entertained kids like that. Imagine saying that, like, oh yeah, my mom got a clown for my 6th birthday party. And then the other kid has to say, yeah, my mom booked John Wayne Gacy. Like, you could end up dead. You could very easily have ended up dead. I am going to be a helicopter mom, and that's just the truth, because you can just tell by the pile of books that I just shared with you. I am going to be that mom, and that is going to be my life. Oh, the room's humming. I was like, is that my phone going off? But no, it's just the room. Now, let's open this package. So very excited. See, it only comes in this package, which is so nice because, like, now all my books are just right here, and I don't have to go through more packaging and then waste more crap, and then it's a whole big thing. But right now it's just nice. Okay. Oh, this is fun. I didn't know that they could give you, I mean, these are all secondhand, but I didn't know that they could give you an old library book. So if anybody knows where Kirkwood is, I would be interested in figuring out where this book is from. But this is Delia's Shadow. This I'm actually going to turn into a gift. I don't know if I should be saying that, because I don't know if my family watches these. Oops. If you did, at least you don't know which one you are until you inevitably get this book. I bet you can guess from the thingy, though, who you're gonna be. Okay. It is the dawn of a new century in San Francisco, and Delia Martin is a wealthy young woman whose life appears ideal. But a dark secret colors her life, for Delia's most loyal companions are ghosts, as she has been gifted, or some would say cursed, with an ability to peer across to the other side. Since the Great Quake rocked her city in 1906, Delia has been haunted by an avalanche of the dead clamoring for her help. She flees to the other side of the continent, hoping to gain some peace. After several years in New York, Delia believes she is free, until one determined specter appears, and she realizes that she must return to the city by the bay in order to put this tortured soul to rest. It will not be easy, as the ghost is only one of the many victims of a serial killer who was never caught. A killer who, after 30 years, is killing again, and who is now aware of Delia's existence. And I love this book because it is all fiction, but it has to deal with both ghosts and serial killers. I am so excited. So excited. Now, you can probably figure out what type of person I am by this, because this book's by John Green, but it's Looking for Alaska, which I think is going to be a really fun book to read. I don't know. I just kind of read. It's kind of a hobby. Okay, before. Miles Pudge Halter's whole existence has been one big non-event, and his obsession with famous last words has only made him crave the great perhaps. Francois Rabelais poet even more. He heads off to the sometimes crazy, possibly unstable, and anything but boring world of Culver Creek boarding school, and his life becomes the opposite of safe. Because down the hall is Alaska Young, the gorgeous, clever, funny, sexy, self-destructive, screwed up, and utterly fascinating Alaska Young, who is an event unto herself. She pulls Pudge into her world, launches him into the great perhaps, and steals his heart. After, nothing is ever the same. I think that this book is going to be so cool. I am so excited. If you could not tell by this entire channel and all of the books around me right now, I kind of like reading. Surprise! I kind of enjoy it just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, this one I'm nervous for, because I feel like I'm gonna get too attached, and I already know the ending. It's Anne Frank's diary, which I've never read before. I've never read it, but I think it's good to read because a lot of things in history should not be repeated, and this is one of them. Not Anne Frank, the Holocaust. So it's good to just like remember what happened. But I'll let the book explain. Discovered in the attic in which she spent the last years of her life, Anne Frank's remarkable diary has since become a world classic, a powerful reminder of the horrors of war and an elegant testament to the human spirit. In 1942, with Nazis occupying Holland, a 13-year-old Jewish girl and her family fled their home in Amsterdam and went into hiding. For the next 2 years, until their whereabouts were betrayed to the Gestapo, they and another family lived cloistered in the secret annex of an old office building. Cut off from the outside world, they faced hunger, boredom, the constant cruelties of living in confined quarters, and the ever-present threat of discovery and death. In her diary, Anne Frank recorded vivid impressions of her experiences during this period. By turns thoughtful, moving, and amusing, her account offers a fascinating contemporary on human courage and frailty and a compelling self-portrait of a sensitive and spirited young woman whose promise was tragically cut short. And I think it's going to be interesting. And we have a cult classic, which I bought it for somebody, but I might be changing who I give it to. We'll have to see, because I bought it for somebody in my family who's not really a reader, because I figured like, ooh, it's a classic. But then I forgot that I have another person who I really know who absolutely adores classics. And so I might have to change some things around. And maybe I'll do both. Because this book honestly was like $3. It's Frankenstein. The original Frankenstein. But I absolutely adore how this book was put together, because I'll just read the back. Mary Shelley began writing Frankenstein when she was only 18. At once a gothic thriller, a passionate romance, and a cautionary tale about the dangers of science, Frankenstein tells the story of devoted science student Victor Frankenstein, obsessed with discovering the cause of generation and life and bestowing animation upon lifeless matter. Frankenstein assembles a human being from stolen body parts, but upon bringing it to life, he recoils in horror at the creature's hideousness. Tormented by isolation and loneliness, the once innocent creature turns to evil and unleashes a campaign of murderous revenge against his creator, Frankenstein. Frankenstein, an instant bestseller and an important ancestor of both the horror and science fiction genres, not only tells a terrifying story but also raises profound, disturbing questions about the very nature of life and the place of humankind within the cosmos. What does it mean to be human? What responsibilities do we have to each other? How far can we go in tampering with nature? In our age filled with news of organ donation, genetic engineering, and bioterrorism, these questions are more relevant than ever. And I'm so excited. I think it says notes on the back, so I don't know if that's... I don't think so. I was wondering if she had... There's a couple of books like this where it has the Frankenstein and then it has kind of a meaning. It happens in a lot of Shakespeare books. but I was wondering if that was going to happen, but that's not the case for this book. But yeah, I don't know if I said this already, but I got all of these for under $20, and then I got, all the rest of these. I'm gonna say that she paid $40 for all of them because that makes me feel better about myself and not feel like I'm wasting her money. But that is my book opening for today. I really hope you enjoyed this, and maybe if you guys enjoy it and I get a new package, or I want to talk about the current book I'm reading, I could also give you guys updates on all of these books, like somewhat regularly. This is going to be in addition to everything else, so it's basically whenever I have time, I can come back and be like, oh my god, this was such a good book, or oh no, I wouldn't get this one. I'm also going to try something like that on my channel, where after I finish a book, I'm going to do it with the lake, because I have many opinions on that, and how it's ending and everything, and I don't know. I'm a little bit farther ahead of it than you guys. I think I have 2 chapters left, whereas the channel has 6. But I could keep coming back. It all depends on what you guys comment below and if you like it. And yeah, so let me know. It was very nice talking to you guys again, and I hope you have a rest of a wonderful morning, or a wonderful afternoon, or a wonderful evening, or a wonderful whatever time you're listening to this. Have a good one, guys. Bye.